You're watching Around the World, our top global stories. We begin with the series of earthquakes that have struck the region between Syria and Turkey. Destruction first struck at night when people were asleep after a 7.8 magnitude earthquake hit Turkey and Syria in the early hours of Monday morning, and it repeated again and again. Two more earthquakes, one of 7.6 on the Richter scale and another of 6 on the Richter scale. The death toll is now more than 1,300 in one of the most powerful earthquakes to have hit the region in at least a century. Many buildings were leveled to the floor on either sides of the border. In Turkey, shocked people stood in the snow in their pajamas, watching rescuers dig through the debris of damaged homes in hopes of rescuing their loved ones. The quake struck at 4:17 a.m. local time, and because of the unfortunately odd timing of the incident, many were asleep, getting stuck under the rubble of crushed buildings. Hundreds have been injured, and the death toll is expected to rise further as rescue workers and residents frantically search for survivors. The epicenter was in Gaziantep town, about 90 kilometers from the Syrian border. This is the region which houses millions of refugees from the Syrian civil war. The quake was felt as far away as Cairo in Egypt. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi was one of the first to offer help to the disaster-hit Turkey and Syria.
तुर्की में आए विनाशकारी भूकंप पर हम सभी की दृष्टि लगी हुई है। तुर्की के आसपास के देशों में भी नुकसान की आशंका है। भारत भूकंप पीड़ितों की हर संभव मदद के लिए तत्पर है।
Now, India will be sending across search and rescue teams as well as relief material to Turkey. Turkey, incidentally, sits on top of major fault lines and is frequently shaken by earthquakes. Nearly 18,000 people were killed in powerful earthquakes that hit northwest Turkey back in the year 1999. But the tremors of this one were also felt in the region surrounding Turkey. It was felt in Lebanon and, of course, Syria. Syria's state media reported that some buildings collapsed in the northern city of Aleppo and the central city of Hama. In capital Damascus, buildings shook and many people went down to the streets in fear. Rescue workers and residents used flashlights to search through piles of tangled metal and concrete rubble. The implicated area is home to millions of Syrian refugees who fled their country's long-running civil war. And keeping it with calamities, South American nation Chile is battling dozens of raging wildfires. Around 25 people have died in the wildfires in Chile so far, while nearly 1,000 people have been injured and more than 800 homes have been completely gutted. The government of Chile has declared a state of emergency in central Chile, forests burning incessantly, a hazy orange-tinted sky, billowing clouds of smoke, damaged buildings, debris all over, people with shovels removing rubble, burnt vehicles left totally charred even as dozens of firefighters battled fires. Chile is witnessing its worst natural disaster in years. The fires have consumed around 2.5 lakh hectares in a region about 500 kilometers south of the capital, Santiago. Nearly 1,500 people were forced to evacuate to shelters after fire engulfed their homes. International help began arriving on Sunday, with some countries sending aerial support and expert firefighting teams as well. The most intense wildfires torched forests and farmland clustered near the middle of Chile's long Pacific coastline. A searing heat wave with temperatures as high as 40 degrees Celsius fueled strong winds, and that has complicated matters further, making fire dousing efforts more difficult. Chile's army has been deployed and additional resources have been released to deal with the wildfires. Of the 260 wildfires burning, more than half are said to be under control at the moment. Shifting focus away from that, has Ukraine's defense minister been sacked? Reports say that Oleksiy Reznikov, who until this point had been serving as Ukraine's defense minister, has been asked to leave. The development comes ahead of an expected Russian offensive and, more importantly, on the back of a major corruption scandal in the Ukrainian government. One of the best-known faces of the country's war effort, 56-year-old Reznikov, was appointed defense minister back in November 2021 and has been overseeing the armed forces throughout Russia's invasion of Ukraine that began on the 24th of February last year. Reznikov also happens to be the man responsible for helping secure Western weapons to buttress Ukrainian forces. But according to latest reports, he will now be replaced by Ukraine's chief of military intelligence, 37-year-old Kirilo Budanov. Reznikov himself, though, has declined to confirm or deny whether he would stay on as defense minister. Here's what he had said.
I am not ashamed of anything. My conscience is absolutely clear. I have nothing to accept. I am a winner and I will remain so.
In what has come as further confirmation of Reznikov's reshuffle, senior lawmaker David Arakhamia has said, though without specifying a timeline, that Reznikov will be appointed now as Minister for Strategic Industries. Away from all of that war in Ukraine to other kind of wars. Just like the Cola War is a clear battle between Pepsi and Coca-Cola, the battle of the superhero universes is a straight fight between Marvel and DC Studios. After a jaded recent years, DC has now invited creative directors James Gunn and Pete Safran to head the enterprise and take the fight to Marvel Studios. For the longest time, Marvel Studios has been able to convert expansive storylines through film, TV, and animated series, garnering a huge fan base and beating their direct competitors, DC Studios. The Avengers, Iron Man, Captain America, etc. are today staple household names, whereas DC characters for the common pop culture consumer are largely limited to just Batman and Superman. Looking at the worldwide box office numbers, Marvel has clearly been beating DC, and not just on the silver screen, Marvel has been leading in OTTs as well. And to counter all of that, James Gunn and Pete Safran, the new bosses of DC, have laid out plans of a revamped and connected DC Comics universe. Usually, a corporate or enterprise head becomes part of a creative team to, push up revenues, but here, just the opposite has happened, and the new DC bosses are aiming to renew eternal characters like Batman, Superman, and many more, along with new faces. The duo will also be establishing their model of Elseworlds storytelling. The Elseworlds printing lends creative freedom and allows writers to tell stories that don't belong to the main Earth's canon but happen in alternate dimensions. It's an ambitious 10-year plan that will feature 10 new projects. The first chapter, titled Gods and Monsters, will have 5 new films and 5 new TV series as well. DC's revamped plan includes a new Superman film in 2025, a Wonder Woman prequel, and a Batman movie that will not be starring Robert Pattinson. Fans can expect new entries like Creature Commandos, Amanda Waller, the new series starring Viola Davis and The Authority, a fresh animated take on the Green Lantern, Teen Titans, and Paradise Lost, a story about Wonder Woman's birthplace, are also on the cards. The Brave and the Bold, based on Batman and Robin, and many others too, are set to roll out. DC Comics fans and Marvel fans alike have a lot to look out for, but who will come out on top after the end game? Well, we'll have to wait to find out. Moving on here on the show, a Hindu festival is celebrated with much fanfare in the Islamic nation of Malaysia. Thaipusam, dedicated to Lord Muruga or Kartikeya. Hundreds of Malaysia's ethnic Tamil minority gathered to celebrate the Thaipusam festival near capital Kuala Lumpur. At the Batu Caves temple near Kuala Lumpur, devotees have been converging for days leading up to the festival. After the COVID lockdowns, this is the first year the famous hill temple is open without any restrictions. Dedicated to the Hindu god Lord Muruga, the festival is a time of repentance for devotees through penance and prayers that last for more than a month. It commemorates the event of goddess Parvati giving her son Lord Murugan a sacred spear or veil to eliminate evil powers. The annual festival is an expression of the unity of Malaysia's ethnic Tamil minority with the whole population. And finally, the highlights from music's biggest night. The 65th Grammy Awards were held in Los Angeles, and it was Beyoncé who scripted history after bagging her 32nd Grammy Award, the highest by any artist ever. The Queen Bee won for her music album Renaissance in the dance and electronic music category, and in the process, she overtook Hungarian-British conductor Georg Solti, whose 31 Grammys record stood for more than 25 years. Former One Direction singer Harry Styles won the Grammy for the Album of the Year for his third solo album, Harry's House. Harry picked up the win over Beyoncé, Adele, Kendrick Lamar, Bad Bunny and Coldplay. One of the world's best-selling music artists, Adele, won her 16th Grammy for Best Pop Solo Performance for her album Easy on Me. While addressing the crowd, she cheerfully dedicated the win to her son. And to mark another historical achievement, German-born singer Kim Petras became the first trans woman to win at a Grammy. It was for the Best Pop Duo or Group Performance with singer Sam Smith for the song Unholy. And it was indeed a proud moment for India as well. Ricky Kej, Bangalore-based musician, won a Grammy Award for Best Immersive Audio Album for Divine Tides. And this was Ricky Kej's third time. Ricky won his first Grammy for the album Wind of Samsara back in the year 2015. Divine Tides is one of his collaborative projects with rock legend Stuart Copeland, a 5-time Grammy Award-winning music composer from America. Previously, they had won the Grammy for the Best New Age Album just last year. And that's all we have time for on this edition of Around the World. Thank you so much for watching. Keep it with News 9 Plus.